Hi, Dyslexic Genius here, Brett Hurt. My phone number is 864-236-1680. This is the Amberola 30 reproducer and carriage. And this reproducer on an Amberola 30, this is called a Diamond C. On Edison cylinder players, this is a C reproducer. So you have a little bit of a confusion. This is a Model C reproducer for cylinder players, and this is the Diamond C reproducer. The problem with this reproducer is that the early ones were nickel plated and the later ones were painted black. And these are made out of pot metal. And I have discussed pot metal. It blows up like you're on a cruise ship and it gets thick. So when I got the machine, it fit into the carriage perfectly like that, pops in now. But what I have done is I've taken my Dremel drill with a diamond cutter and I've trimmed this down, both sides, grinding this down, and then I sanded the edge here. This edge right here fits in this indentation. This had swelled. And you need to fix these. If you can get them out, you have to do that grinding. You have to do this lip and then in here, so it'll fit. The other problem when it swells is this screw screws into the bottom of the weight here. But guess what happened inside this? It swelled. So I took a number 23 drill, which is about 1/54th decimal point thing. And I also, when they make them, the slot right here will leave a little burr on the outside. So I totally cleaned this up in my drill, cleaned up the head. I re-blued it so it looks original because this screw fits in here. And that should turn freely. But if you have a burr on the outside, you have to check this. And I found this from the factory, little burrs. You have to get rid of those burrs because it makes it not pivot. The other thing is when you take them all apart, you have a thick piece and a thin piece that holds this spring steel right here. And this is the pivot part. The thick one goes on the top because this screw goes into here and it goes down and it bottoms out on this, so this will all pivot. So what we have in this line here is how this goes together. First, we put in the gasket. And then we have the diaphragm. This is an original diaphragm. And on Edison's, like Diamond Disc, this is silk. And you have this little loop with that little hole in it. And you want to take the diaphragm and gently pull on this a little like this because they rot out. So then you will put the diaphragm in and make sure that it's not hitting the edges. Put the next rubber gasket in. Then you will put the retaining ring, and you want to make sure there's no rust on these retaining rings like a diamond disc. This is all for demonstration purposes. And then we put the retaining ring in, the screw ring. But you notice this one has little holes. They had a special tool that fit in, but I'm going to show you a trick. You get them started, and it screws down. You can take a small screwdriver and you want to push in the hole and you want to push to the outside this way. Because if you're pushing this way and it slips out, it's going to stab your diaphragm and then you go, oops, I have a problem here. Then all that. Then this, you stab the pin and you make sure the pin on the end of the reproducer, the limit pin, is perfectly straight, not bent. Then you stick all this together, and you put the screw in. Now the problem is, how do I hook this to the diamond stylist? Well, you bend this back like that, and you use a pair of tweezers, and you gently get in there, and I have to use a magnifying glass, and that silk will come over and it will pop down on that little hook right there, and you're set to go. Sometimes on the little hook, because it's kind of like this, and the bar comes out, you might have to take a small pair of needle nose and clench it down a little. And sometimes on those, you can stick a screwdriver, a very thin one I have, and you can bend it up just a little. It only move a little bit. Now we have the carriage. The carriage lifts up and lifts down. This part right here sets to raise the weight on the reproducer. It hits it here in the back and it lifts it up when you remove the cylinder off the machine. This screw here holds the spring and the half nut in place. And this nut here holds it in place. This front screw here, right here, this little one, because you can come in this way, is the adjustment to engage the lead screw. So you have the lead screws running this way on the machine, like a cylinder player. This comes down, and then you can adjust the tension here. I will show you when I do all this, but I'm showing you what it is. The other problem is you have this screw and this screw. So you have to take all this apart, and you want to clean the bottom of this piece and you clean the bottom of the casting. You want to file these down, sand them down. I found a little burrs on these. And then you want to put a little dab of oil, put in these two screws, and then assemble everything else. The lift lever comes apart with this screw. This screw is special because it has a point in it, and the lift lever has a slot in it. The shaft goes in here, like this. What I do on these is when you pull this apart, I clean everything off, and you remember the silicone grease? I put a little bit of silicone grease on that because you can't oil this. And it had some wear there. You also have to make sure that the pin, which is hooked to the lift lever, fits in here. And these two big screws here have they have the top of the screw, and then there's a little piece that fits in the slot right here. You want to make sure those flush down, and you want to put a dab of oil on these, and make sure you put a dab of oil under here so everything slides together. This is very simple. I'll go over it on the final assembly of the Amberola 30, and that's my tip for the day.